Well, the esteemed and widely respected New York Times just showed us yet again why so many Americans no longer trust legacy media sites and outlets, because they decided to publish a guest essay with the clearest conflict of interest we have ever seen. And that is saying a lot, because there have been other examples that we've talked about on this show. So this op-ed is all about how we need to spend more of our government resources on autonomous weapons for the military. And it was written by a man who stands to profit handsomely from that kind of government spending. So let's take a look at what the headline is for this op-ed. It's titled, "The US military is not ready for the new era of warfare," despite the fact that we're, by the way, already spending close to $1 trillion on our Defense Department. Okay, so the authors Raj Shah and Christopher Kirchhoff write the following. "A new wave of war is bearing down on us. Artificial intelligence-powered autonomous weapon systems are going global, and the US military is not ready for them." So they give some examples. Let's get to the details of that. Hezbollah's alleged use of explosive-laden drones has displaced at least 60,000 Israelis south of the Lebanon border. Houthi rebels are using remotely controlled sea drones to threaten the 12% of global shipping value that passes through the Red Sea. Okay, and then they clarify that they don't want to get rid of the weapons that we're already spending money on. Like, they don't want to take that funding and now fund something different to get our military ready for this new era of AI. No. They make it clear that they want to spend even more money on newer technology as well as the older technology. The US military requires unique platforms such as stealth fighters and submarines, as well as newer technologies, including drones. All weapon systems, old or new, need to take full advantage of the software and AI revolution, a revolution driven forward primarily by Silicon Valley, not by large traditional defense contractors. Great, so John, now we've got the defense contractors profiting off of war and Silicon Valley that's looking to profit off of war. Great.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
Yeah, that last bit right there is awesome, because it almost sounds like it's been driven by them, not by us, but I wish it was us. Please let it be us. Let us get in on this. And look, yeah, we're gonna have to adapt our military or whatever, but we definitely should be able to shift our resources, considering we spend as much as like the next 20 countries combined or whatever. And also in this area, as in basically every area, AI is an interesting development, and also at the same time, a lot of people are just taking stuff that was already happening and just calling it AI that has nothing to do with AI. These drones aren't like, the reason the drones are doing well is not because they have the ability to string words together in a way that makes sense. That's not what it means. They're just trying to hype up spending in all areas by attaching it to the vague concept of AI, because some people, not as many as a few months ago, let alone a year ago, think that it's this amazing technology that can utterly change everything. A lot of those hopes, I think, are being massively dialed back, and we seem to have landed on best case scenario, it's good for killing people, I guess. That was supposed to be the main fear about AI. Now it's like the thing that's supposed to get us jazzed to spend money.
Yeah, look, I'm not enough of an expert on military weaponry and new technological advancements that we need to be ready for. So I'm not necessarily judging the argument that's being made here, although I do think that we are overspending on our military, and that money doesn't actually go toward the soldiers who risk their lives to be part of the military. It usually goes to the weapons manufacturers, defense contractors. You guys get the point. But what I don't want to hear from, the individuals who have the conflict of interest here should not be the individuals who are writing in the New York Times to educate us all about what we need to be focusing our attention on or our resources on. You get what I'm saying? So what do I mean here?
Yeah.
Well, the New York Times, to their credit, did disclose who the authors are. So let's get to that. Raj M. Shah is the managing partner of Shield Capital. Christopher Kirchhoff helped build the Pentagon's Defense Innovation Unit. They are the authors of Unit X, How the Pentagon and Silicon Valley Are Transforming the Future of War. So what exactly is Shield Capital? Well, a quick trip to their website reveals some pretty critical information. Shield Capital is a venture capital firm investing in early stage companies building technologies that matter in artificial intelligence, autonomy, cybersecurity, and space. Shield's veteran team of founders, investors, and national security leaders is mission focused in support of entrepreneurs addressing the convergence of commercial technology and national security. Mission matters at Shield. So this isn't a sponsored ad. You know, sometimes you'll come across articles that look like they're articles, but it's really a sponsored post, meaning that the news organization got paid by a specific company to post that content. This was not, like, my point is the New York Times didn't get paid to shill for Shield Capital. They did this for free.
Just giving it away for free.
They just did it for free.
It's almost sad. I feel bad for the New York Times. You should at least get a tip or something. Come on.
What are they doing?
Yeah, look, it makes sense that you're gonna wanna have guest op-eds about a lot of different things. Some of them might be about war, some of them might be advocating for more spending. But like, it's such a clear conflict of interest. Like, how could you not, you know how like in California, we have a lot of ballot initiatives. And so around this time of year, or in this election cycle, it's just ads constantly. And it'll be like 40 seconds long about housing or whatever. You could just ignore the entire ad. Literally, the only thing that you need to see is at the very end of the ad, the last 5 seconds has a thing saying who the top contributor to the ad was. That's the only piece of information that you need. I feel like the same sort of principle can be applied to these guest op-eds. Like, it largely doesn't matter what your opinion on the future of warfare is if you have a massive and all-encompassing financial bias when it comes to spreading that. And like, that's what the message should be. The New York Times should write an article about how there are people now trying to strike it rich by encouraging more military spending on AI. There's a story for you. I don't need to hear it from the person whose like stock price is dependent on this article getting a lot of play.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, this is a person who stands to profit off of the very thing, or these are two people who stand to profit off of the very thing that they're advocating for in this op-ed. And so I don't want to hear about what they think, considering they have that conflict of interest. If you want to make an argument about AI technology and how it's changing the way military weaponry works, I don't know, get a military expert who doesn't stand to profit off of this to make that argument in an op-ed. The idea that you would just give a free ad to people who head this venture capital firm investing in the very weapons that they're advocating for. Like, it's wrong. And this is the reason why people don't trust the media, right? And it causes a lot of harm, John, because if you do the fact checks on politicians that are accurate, people aren't gonna buy the fact checks.
Yep.
They're just gonna be like, oh, why am I gonna trust this source? This is the source that encouraged us to go to war with Iraq because they allegedly had weapons of mass destruction, but it turns out they didn't, because the New York Times simply regurgitated what anonymous intelligence officials were telling them. Those kinds of mistakes really do cause harm to these institutions, and they need to do better, but I don't think they will. I mean, at least make money off of this. Like, they're doing a free ad. It's amazing.
If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.